Hello everybody, welcome back to Magic Hat Security, and I wanted to give you a different kind of tutorial today. I don't want to go too deep into attacking a lot of these vulnerable disks because, then we're just giving you the answers, and then you won't have any fun playing with it and figuring it out yourself, and that's the whole point. That's how you're going to learn. But we are going to hint at one today in the process of showing you some things. We're going to talk about enumeration, okay? In the world of cybersecurity and pen testing, you hear the word enumeration quite a bit. Let's explain exactly what that is. Let's see. Let's go over to let's go over to here. Okay, so I've got a vulnerable virtual image running right now called Noob Box. You can get this on Vault Hub. That's where I get all my vulnerable images to play around with and work from. Now, don't be mistaken because it's called Noob Box. It doesn't mean it's super easy. Okay, it's still going to take your work and your thinking, and that's basically what enumeration means. Enumeration means to research, a process of elimination to find exactly where your point of attack should be focused at. And we're going to kind of go through that a little bit today. So if I go over here, now I've already run some of these processes because it's fairly easy to run. I'm going to lightly touch on them and show you my thought process of going through this. And now the first thing I've done is I ran net discover, and if you were to do that, first you spell properly. Net discover, and you say the interface. It's going to be my Ethernet cable because I've got it running into my system, so we'll say Ethernet because it thinks it's on an Ethernet cable directly in my network. I have it bridged. And then we're going to say the range. And I would put 192.168.32.1/24. And I'd run that. And then I find where my box is, what the IP is of my vulnerable box. Now, if you were on a network doing that, you would do the same thing to look at the different systems you have. You'll be able to tell, okay, this is a printer, this is a printer, this is a Windows box, this is a Unix system, that sort of thing. It's a handy little scan, kind of like a preliminary thing to run before you go through the big nmap. So after running that, I found the IP address of the target I want to attack, and it is 109. Okay, from the internals that I use here in my little testing network. And so we ran an nmap on it. Okay, so let's just say that we ran our nmap, and this is the results we got. Okay, and which I actually did run it, of course, and this is the results that I got on here. Now we're going to look at this one, and you might be a little disappointed because you say, well, it's not showing much, but it is showing that we have a web server running here, and showing that it's open. It's looking through several of the page connections, looking for vulnerabilities. Now I'm going to pay attention to this. I'm going to see that all these seem to be manuals. So I'm guessing this is probably an Apache server, and these are the different languages they do the little manual in, because that's common for the Apache server. Then I look down here and I see, well, look at here, WordPress blog. So we know it's got a WordPress on there with the login. Okay. Alright, so now I want to look a little deeper. So the next thing I do is I say, well, since it's a WordPress one, I'm going to run WP scan on it. So we ran WP scan. Now, WP scan you're going to, let me show you something that you're going to run into if you're not familiar with it, okay? See if I remember this one right. Actually, let's just do the help here so I can make sure I'm doing that correctly. I believe this one has a tech URL. Yes, it does. Okay. All right, so if we just want to do a pure scan, not worried about a whole bunch of triggers, just to run it through pretty much everything. WP scan, all right, tech URL, and we're going to do it in URL format, not just the IP address 192.168.32.109. And if we were to just run it now, this is what you get. Now I'm going to tell you why. Because you're forgetting one thing. And this is why I'm going through this for you. Now, WordPress, if you look here, you see a / here and a / there. So that tells you it's not in the main directory. That tells you that WordPress is in its own directory within the main directory. Okay? So the login is a layer below that. And that also enforces the idea that, okay, these are probably manuals for an Apache server. Alright, so now let's go back to our WP scan. There's one other thing to show you. So we're going to do this. Alright, and we're going to hit go and we're going to let it run, and I'm going to show you something very important that you need to know. This is what's going to make WP scan actually valuable to you. Okay. Okay, so it started to scan, and this one won't take very long. This is the reason why I'm doing this one. Now, most of these here, you see I'm doing the cat command to show you the results that I had gotten before I started the video. And whether you have an output file option or not on most of these, I'll show you how to get that. Now you can do the old copy and paste if you want to, or you can just do it as you go. Alright, so here we go. Now let's look through what we got. It's done, and just didn't really do a whole lot here, did it? It's like it left a bunch of stuff out, you know, config and all, but see these little orange exclamation points? That means pay attention to me. Now look at what it says. No WP scan API token given. As a result, vulnerability data has not been output. So that's why we're missing a lot. Now you need to pay attention to that, because it doesn't, this is one of those, it doesn't come full with everything that you need. You got to kind of add a little bit. It says you can get a free API token with 25 daily requests by registering here. So you just go to that website, and it's as easy as clicking it and copying in your web browser and going there and you register, and poof, you get an API. And then what you do is you do that, and then you do tech API tech token, and then you paste in your token here with whatever it is. Okay, and now to get it to spit out as a text over here like I did, now see I named it WP scan run. Okay, now what I did is I did this. I said, hey, create WP scan tech run.txt, and that means it's going to run, and it's not going to show you all this. It's just going to sit there for a minute like it's doing nothing, but it's doing something. You can add a folder open there where this is where I opened my terminal, so that's where everything's going to appear. Okay, and now I run mate, and I put in all the extra goodies in, so I have the command in my right click menu here to open the terminal, so I can open the terminal right there in that window. I can just do that, and poof, I got one. It's right there. Okay, very handy to do. Some of your window managers have that ability. Mate does. I just happen to like Mate. There's a lot of tools that I like. I just like the way it works. But anyway, I told it here to create that text, so it did all this, but instead it spit it out to that text file for me. And that's handy to me because, see, I'm keeping all my information there for reporting later. And if I were doing pen testing for a client, I need to have these results. So I've got it all in a text file, all right there. So I can include it in my report, okay, using whatever reporting tool you wish to use. And I did do a short video on some reporting tools that you can use. But anyway, we'll do cat WP scan, add tab, let it autocomplete. Let's see what we got. Actually, let me clear that so it doesn't get confusing. All right, there we go. Now we get quite a bit more information this time. It went through checking a few more things. We got a definite WordPress version here, 662. Okay, and it tells you when it was when the latest one was released on. So we know, hey, this is an older version possibly. And it goes through some other goodies too, so you can look through here and get plenty of information. But now I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. So what I did next is I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Nikto, which one runs through all kinds of vulnerabilities, not just for WordPress. Okay, so I ran that Nikto scan, and same thing. I added a little bracket there, and I told it nikto.txt, and it spit out the text file for me. Okay, just like I did with nmap. I did that with nmap. Right? Actually, I think Nikto has an output file it'll do for you, and it's built in. But nmap, same thing. I did the little bracket and then told it to name it nmap tacrun.txt, and that gave me my nmap results in the text file from start to finish. Everything that I needed. It told me in the first place that there was a WordPress blog, which led me to run WP scan to see what it could find. Then I ran Nikto. And, whoop. Get it selected there. There we go. And I said, boom. Now, I got all kinds of information from this. And this tells me it's got uploads, directory indexing is set in the uploads directory, so we could go there and look and see if there's anything else there. I could use a directory buster or something of the sort to check through all the directories and see if it finds any particular files like PHP files or HTML files. Then the next thing I did, I said, well, let me run a skipfish. So I ran skipfish on it. And skipfish is something you should all look into. It gives you quite a bit of information, and it actually outputs to a directory for you automatically. You just got to tell it where to put that information. Now skipfish has a whole bunch of different things you can do with it, but I just ran and let it do a Hail Mary and run everything on there. You can use it to run word list with username and password against it also, like here. So if you want to do some form authentication and stuff like that to, maybe get into a form on there, and all kinds of goodies you can do with it. But I just want to do a straight out scan. So now with skipfish, I made the directory, and then I told it where the directory was, and you have to give it your path. Okay, so I gave it a path here, and then included the directory that I made called skipfish dir. All right, now once it was done, then I opened the directory. Now I'm going to open this up a little bit so you can see all the goodies it puts in here. Here we go. Okay, so it's got everything in here, and you notice these little directories here, so it's structured for you. So that means you look until you find this file right here, the index HTML, and then we click on it, and look at there. Here's your report results from skipfish, and you can click on each item and it gives you information on PNGs, GIFs, on HTML, and it goes here in the manual. Show the trace of it, and it goes through and shows each manual there. See, okay. You click on this bar and it goes away. Then hear from interesting server messages. SSI HTML mod include, and this is all under manual, so this could be possibly some interesting stuff that could be informational. External content embedded on a page, high risk, so this is something we definitely possibly want to pay closer attention to. Okay, should be a directory detection error. Okay, so this goes to pass, and all these are clickable, so you can literally click them, open into your browser to see what you get there. Okay, now if we go to the WordPress WP login, for example, we get this. So it looks to me like either they haven't configured it properly, or they didn't set up a theme onto the WordPress. Now I'm guessing it probably is not configured correctly, but we're going to dig a little deeper and find out in just a moment. It's all about finding out all the information you need to know, so you know exactly where to pinpoint your attack. Incorrect or missing character sets, low risk, hidden files and directories. It gives you these. So all this is useful information to decide what to do. New server header value scene. So that could be informational. And this tells me, look at here, I was guessing it was Apache, and look, it tells me there. And it tells me the version of Apache. Apache 2.4.38. So I know that's an older version of Apache. So that's something we could look at to possibly exploit. So we know we could possibly exploit WordPress or Apache. We want to see which one would be our best bet to attack first. Alright, so I'm going to minimize that for now, and we're going to close this up. So from this point, I would probably say, well, we got that login folder, or page, and I'm wondering if we could possibly attack that with some kind of a SQL command or do a brute force. So here's what I did. I said, you know what, let me go to web applications, and I'm going to pull up Burp Suite. Now I know some of you probably used this before, some of you probably have seen it but never touched it, didn't know what to do with it, maybe thought it looked a little complicated, and it can be, but well, no, I don't want to say that. It's really not complicated. It's just very involved. It has all kinds of things you can do with it. It has quite a few tools. And I'm using the Community Edition. Temporary project in memory, that's cool. Next. Burp Suite defaults, that's fine. You can tell it to save that default if you want, or you can save it later as a configuration and then load it when you want to. We're just going to start it up. It'll take just a few minutes and it'll start up. Now once you get here, I want you to go to proxy, because we want to grab some information. Make sure we have intercept on. If it's not, you just click it and it turns it on. Now before we do that, since we're going to proxy it or tunnel it through to our receiver, our interceptor, I'm going to go up to Foxy Proxy here, and I'm going to click on Burp Suite. Okay, now normally it's going to be on disabled, but I'm going to put it on Burp Suite. Now if you have Foxy Proxy and you don't see this, there's a reason for that. You would click on Options, okay, and in Options you want to go into Proxies, and you add in here Burp Suite or Burp, whatever you want to call it, and you click Add. Okay, and then you just fill in the information that you want. It would be port 8080 and 127.0.0.1, because we want it to direct right back at itself and go into the port that Burp Suite will intercept, which will be 8080 or 8080. Okay, and make sure it's active. That little switch there makes it active. Okay, and then you click Save, and that's all you got to do to have Burp Suite show up here as an option. You see it's on port 8080. Okay, so we're going to select Burp Suite because that's what we're fixing to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to close this. I don't like having too many things open at a time. and it's on. I believe we have it on our desktop. So let me check real quick. Yep, got it on desktop right there under Vault. So it's quick and easy to get to if we need it. So we'll go back here. Alright, now we've got Burp Suite open, Intercept on. We're tunneling it through Foxy Proxy in our Firefox. If you don't have that plugin already, get it. It's very useful. And I just put in admin and password, okay, because we just want to see how it's going to react. Alright, so I'm going to hit login, and then boom, and immediately it intercepts, okay. So that's great. We got information right away. I'm going to raise this a little bit so I can see better. There we go. Now, if I were to attack this, I would probably want to take out this information here, login information, but I'm not going to worry about it now. We would next go to intruder. Okay, and we can do a lot of options here, but I'm going to stop here because I see something that's bothering me. Now, we wanted to possibly do a brute force or a SQL injection onto this. That's what we were looking at it for. And look at what I got here. And if it's confusing, here's a selected text. Now, my IP address for the virtual machine is this one. Okay, 192.168.32.109. Yet it's showing a host here of 192.168.43.162, which does not exist on my internal security network that I'm working on. And if I look down here, I see the word redirect to, and there it is. It goes to that 192.168.43.162. So what this tells me is the person that created this particular vulnerable disk image probably misconfigured WordPress. So we were probably correct there. They didn't know how to set up WordPress, or they may have done it on purpose. But that could be why it's not showing the theme. Because remember I mentioned, as soon as I saw, it should have at least a default theme, WordPress. And we see no theme here. It's just kind of throwing everything to the left. Because it has no CSS or anything controlling it, telling it where to be. See how it's all kind of out of alignment and all. So I knew right away, okay, well, there's a possibility it's misconfigured. There's no theme showing. And I'm looking at this, and this tells me, yeah, it's misconfigured because it's trying to go to a non-existent internal IP address that it can never reach. So I'm just going to close Burp Suite because that's not going to do me any good any further. In fact, I won't need this. I can close our web browser. We still have the virtual machine open here, but we don't have the web browser. So what I would probably do next at this point is I would probably go to Metasploit and start looking for Apache or WordPress attacks matching the version number of that particular version that's on the server here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something else before we close this out. Now all this is enumeration. See, I'm going through a process of elimination. So look at how much information we found as far as attacking this system so far. We used Nmap, NetDiscover, Nmap, WPScan, Nikto, Skipfish. Then we went to Burp Suite. Now we're going to Metasploit. And just for giggles, let's do grep WordPress. Oh, there we go. And let's do search exploits. And actually an auxiliary would be fine if we got that. And look at there, that's what we got. One auxiliary, no exploits. But let's go ahead and grab that. 4186. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to do options. We just told it use 4186. That's the ID number of this particular auxiliary. And you see it, I was going to tell you an auxiliary is a type of scanner, and it tells you right there. Now we're going to do options on it, just like you do on an exploit. First thing we're going to set is the host. Okay, set our host 192.168.32.109, and let's see. I'm not going to worry about the virtual host, but this is important here. You see, that's not. It's no. Now, this is a target URI. It said yes. And I want to bring this up and make this clear. So some of you may ignore this, but you can't. You got to think about this. Remember, we found out that our WordPress install is not in the root directory. Okay, I believe that was in the nmap scan we found that, but or may have been Nicto. But we found out that it's not in the root directory. It's in a directory of its own called WordPress. So that's where we need to set our target URI. It's not in root. Now, if I do options again, if I can get it typing over here, here we go. Do options again. Now we have the RO set, so it knows where the root directory is. Okay, so that you understand what we're doing here. So we're going to do set target URI, and that's going to be /WordPress. Okay, and now if we do options, so that means that we're telling it to go to this root directory and then go into the directory inside of that called WordPress, because that's where it's at. Okay, so now we're going to do run and see if we'll get there. Little scanner should run pretty quick. Now if we didn't put that in, it would be really fast. There we go. It would have told us, hey, can't find it, no WordPress install is there, because it's not there. It's inside this additional directory. So that's why we had to put the target URI in there. Okay, and it says found hello world in a post, and we could click on that to verify if we wanted. And I didn't deactivate Foxy Proxy, so it might have an issue there. Let me disable. There we go. Let's refresh that just to make sure. And it might be kind of slow because, like I said, it appears to be misconfigured. And yeah, see, it is. It's going to 168.43.162. That doesn't exist on our network, so it's not even going to pull up. In fact, we could look here, see, and it posted on a different IP. So this is probably the person that configured it. This was his IP ranges, .43.1 to whatever, and this was the IP address of it when he set his machine up. So it jumped from there to here, just to where that post, because it's going to log the post where he set up WordPress on his IP address, because he didn't set it up properly. It should have been set to 127.0.0.1, our local host, in order for it to be unified on any system that's put on. But instead, he locked it into his particular internal IP address, so this is not going to be functional. And that scan will do us no good. So WordPress, after doing all this research, it looks like WordPress is going to be pretty useless to us. It's not going to enable us to get into the system itself, most likely, because it's completely misconfigured. In fact, I'm not sure if it's even totally communicating with the database server that is connected to in there, because of the fact it's not showing the theme properly. It's misdirecting to another IP address that doesn't exist. Now I could go and change our network IPs, our internal IPs, to this and see what happens. Now you can always do that, and that's very easy to do. It's easier if you have a separate network to do your testing on, like I do. Everything else in my house and my household is on a separate internal network than one I do my security work on, my little office. So I could easily just switch my internal IP and switch over all my computers, and then this would be on my network, and I could actually go to it. And I would have to assign 162 to this particular machine so that it's not taken by anything else. So that's doable, but that's a lot of trouble. And I really, to me, this is showing me it's misconfigured. So I would probably go for Apache and try attacking that next. If not, then I go back after researching Apache. If I don't think Apache's good, then I could go back here and see what else I've got I can go into. Okay. Now, if I wanted to try a couple more WordPress things, now we put in exploit. We didn't get any exploits, but we got an auxiliary. Your next step would be, if you still wanted to try and attack that a little bit more, would be to go to your exploit database. Okay. And I've been over this before and how to add new modules to Metasploit. So I'm not going to go over this real deep, but you could go in here and set your filters, local, platform, Linux. And we're just going to do pure Linux, not a particular type or anything. And we could go down to Metasploit. Oh, here it is. And we could search for WordPress and see what we come up with, and maybe find that exact model or version, but it shows no matching records. But we could do some different searches and see, maybe even check remote if you want to go that route. Now, me personally, I'd probably go after Apache next. I would consider this a lost cause. So anyway, we are done there, so we'll exit that. Alright, so that's enumeration. That's what enumeration is all about, basically. It's about going through a process of elimination and figuring out exactly what you need to target. Instead of wandering around blindly just attacking different things, you're going through and researching to find out what's the most viable target for you to attack. Now, that's very important when attacking a network and doing this live. It's not so much important when you're doing it on your own virtual lab, because anything goes. But if you're doing this on a live network testing for a client, you are going to be, you can't throw off a bunch of warning flags. You're trying to be as stealth as possible. Your job as a cybersecurity professional or pen tester is to be a hacker. You're posing as a hacker to discover any vulnerabilities in that network. So that's why you do enumeration. You do your research. You find exactly where you're going to attack first, and then you figure out the very best way for you to do that attack. Okay? So I hope you had learned a few things in this video. I know we jumped through quite a few applications there. Hope you followed along. Be sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate that very much. We're gaining new subscribers every day. We're heading towards 1,000. I want to try and hit 1,000. So let's see if we can't get there. Appreciate you. Everyone have a good evening.